Welcome to today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm your host, Michelle Graves, known nationally as the Money Lady since 1976. And I'm delighted to be here today to talk to you about important financial issues that impact on your life. Today we're going to be talking about the subject of life insurance, and I'm going to be answering questions that I received from many of my viewers via email. So I want to begin by just opening up by helping you to understand the framework of the times that we're in today. The vast majority of people today are confused and troubled about the economy. They feel bombarded by the media, bullied by salespeople, bewildered by the million things they need to know to survive today in the financial jungle. And yes, it is a jungle out there. Over the past 5 years, viewers, you have seen all of the investment lessons that you learned in the 80s and 90s fail. You know you cannot live much longer on 5% rates of return or less. And you're scared and hesitant to make crucial decisions. I feel you. To make it worse, right now 90 million Americans are faced with the most critical investment challenges in their lives. Many of them are senior citizens. Now, in this show, my commitment over the past year has been to shed light on the darkness and to break down your problems, analyze them correctly, give you good, solid, factual, verifiable information so that you can begin to direct your lives and begin to make the necessary decisions that are based upon a foundation of knowledge and wisdom. Again, as I've shared over the years, without comprehensive, factual information, you will come to erroneous conclusions. You will make decisions that are not sound, that are not balanced, and in the end, you will look like a fool. When the desire is that you tend to have good information, have a good solid foundation, and operate in wisdom. As I've shared, it's a tragedy, but it is a truth. You can't expect a person to swim who's never been taught to swim. So I find it highly offensive when I listen to the various television shows, and I won't name names, where they refer to people as stupid or inane or all kinds of descriptions, when the reality is, who in the world has taught the American population how to play this game? Most of that information is within the hollow chambers of the very, very wealthy, and that is a problem that we'd like to deal with today. So I'm going to begin by laying out a couple of things that you need to be aware of and what has in fact contributed in large part to the stress that you feel today. And if you don't feel stress, I don't even know if you're a part of the living population. Right today, the cost of education is up 11%. The cost of health insurance is up 9%. Property taxes are up 48% since 1995. And I got news for you viewers. Property taxes are going to continue to skyrocket because all those foreclosed homes, that represented taxes that are now non-existent. The cost of heat, energy, is up 35 to 50%. You know, it's a funny thing with all this wonderful weather we've had in the Midwest, you would have thought our energy bills would have gone down. But I am here to tell you that has not been the case. Energy bills have gone up, which makes me wonder what would have happened if, in fact, we had a very, very cold winter in this part of the country. Cost of new automobiles are up 4% on average. The cost of monthly student loan payments are up 13%. Average household credit card debt is up 12%. People are not using their credit cards today like they used to because many of them are maxed out, and they're finding themselves strangling on credit card debt. So when we hear that Americans aren't spending as much, I'm like, well, you know, you can't spend a lot when you've maxed out on your credit cards and you don't have the income to support those horrendous monthly payments. Professional liability, that's something I know about as a businesswoman, have gone up, though those insurance costs have gone up 28%. The federal tax has increased 2.5 times faster than the U.S. economy. If you feel like you're paying more taxes to the government, you are. There is $3,300 in hidden taxes for every man, woman, and child in the United States. And finally, and most disturbing for all of us, since the cat's out the bag, the rabbit's out the hat, today there is $4.14 in debt for every $1 of national income. That's the legacy we're leaving our children. That's the debt that's strangling us around our neck. And I really do mean this is something that you have to begin to deal with. So the challenge is today, and despite all the reports about the stock market's rebounding, don't believe it. Despite all the reports that unemployment claims are diminishing, don't believe it. The truth of the matter is this. Manufacturers are hiring, some, but they're not hiring at the rates they hired in the past, and the pay rates are dismal. So it really is true in this economy that the rich are becoming a whole lot richer, and the middle class that enjoyed a fairly decent standard of living over the last 20 years, they're now finding that they're part of the working poor. And that's not something that I am comfortable talking about, but again, as an economist and as a banker, I have to call it the way I see it so that you can begin to deal with a base of information that is the truth. So you will not be confused, because many people are like, well, they say things are great, but why don't I feel great? And I said, well, because your feelings are probably a reflection of the truth. Don't be misled. Look at things exactly for what they are. The unemployment rate is staggering among those who have not been able to find employment for a long period of time. And because of this, we are having to adjust psychologically, and that's causing stress. And believe me, stress is not a joke, because when you're getting paid $10 an hour or even $15 an hour, and there's two of you working and you've got children and food, and by the way, food costs have gone through the roof. And that is because gasoline costs are being passed on to the transportation system, which are your trucks, because trucks are transporting food from different parts of the country, and even from South America. Tomatoes this time of the year are not coming from the United States. They're coming from Mexico, and likewise with your fruits. And those things are transported by trucks, and trucks use gasoline, and gasoline is high, and you already know where this goes. Not a clean picture, not a pretty picture. But again, my purpose for being on this show, and as I said, I've been doing this for over a year now, and my predictions have been precise and accurate. I am so serious. I was looking at a tape the other day that I talked about in February of last year. I talked about gas prices going over $4 a year ago. I talked about people preparing a year ago. And a lot of people just kind of dismiss it like, I don't want to hear that. But you know what? You need to hear it, because at the point I'm giving you information that can change the decisions that you make. If you had known a year ago that gasoline was going to be $4, maybe you wouldn't have gone out and bought that big truck. And as I tell you that gasoline will probably go to $6, and please do not let Israel bomb Iran, okay? Because if Israel bombs Iran and Iran does what it's going to do, and you already know, because they're armed to the max, thanks to the Russians and to the Chinese, gasoline may go over $10 a gallon. And if it hits $10 a gallon, viewers, I got news for you. Nobody is going to work. And that is the truth, unless you got roller skates, a scooter, or motorized bicycle. That is the story. So again, pray for that Israel does not bomb Iran. If nothing else, a selfish prayer, because I can tell you with a tremendous degree of accuracy that that's going to push everything right out the back door. And I was listening last night to one of the representatives from Prime Minister Netanyahu's office, and the young man said, this is going to probably happen before June. And I'm like, oh, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. But I'm sharing with all of you that if that does happen, all bets off the table. Gasoline prices are going to go through the roof, and it's going to spin the United States into a very, very, very unsustainable economic downfall. And I say unsustainable because I don't think the economy is strong enough right now for us to be able to have something so horrific to happen. It will impact on us immediately. Inflation will go through the roof. Food prices will go through the roof. You thought chicken is expensive? You haven't seen chicken. You haven't seen what food costs are going to do. So I'm here to kind of lay the foundation so that you will have a basis for what we're going to talk about today, because it really is about your survival. It's not about me trying to be smart and tell you how dumb you are. That's so childish. And I'm amazed that people watch this kind of stuff on television. When these poor people call in and ask advice, and then they're snipped off and dismissed and as stupid. And it's like I said, it's very, very offensive to me, because I don't believe people run out and say, today I'm going to be stupid. You know, that is so callous. But my commitment is to give you the information, help you to navigate through troubled waters, and come out at least with some level of accuracy and stability for you and your family. Remember, it's about your family. It's not just about you. You've got children, you've got parents, you may even have grandparents, but you have a network of people that are tied into you, whether you like it or not, that is called family. So it's important that your moves be wise and be careful and be thoughtful based upon the times that we're in. Today, I want to respond to the many, many questions that have been brought to my attention, and I'm going to read one of them, and I'll continue to read and see if I can give you some information. The first question is, Money Lady, me and my husband have been married for 20 years and cannot get along about money. Well, folks, that's most married people. He likes to spend money, I like to save money. And as a result, we are horribly in debt and cannot make ends meet. Do you have any recommendations? Well, this is a question you should have asked me before you went down the aisle. Premarital counseling around money is probably the most overlooked area in any type of counseling. Everybody wants to talk to a couple that is planning on getting married about the wedding, about how they're going to love life, how they're going to live life. But the reality is that over 50% of marriages end, and the primary reason is because of money difficulties. One of the things I have found in private practice over the years is that people have money spending habits, and most of them come from childhood conditioning. So you find a person who is very, very frugal and grips money. It's probably been raised by parents who have instilled the value of a hard-earned dollar to them. And they've watched their family work very, very hard and many times struggle to make ends meet. That person has a mindset that says save, 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 because a rainy day is here, not coming, it is here. So you will find that those people are what I call frugalists, and they're frugal. So a frugalist, very disciplined, very orderly. But you know, it's an interesting thing, because a frugalist will hook up with a spendthrift because there's something exciting about seeing another person just enjoying life and spending money. And so the frugalist, because of their need to control, they will, in many cases, think, if I could just help this person. And so they will get married. And they will find out very quickly the frugalist will wind up having a nervous breakdown, and the spendthrift will be angry all the time because they think the frugalist is actually being controlling and domineering. Now, this happens with males and females. I tell people all the time, females are spendthrifts, males are spendthrifts. The difference is the things they spend. Many times men that like to spend will buy cars, they'll buy very high-end shoes, they'll buy very fine wine, they'll want to go out and entertain, whereas females that are spendthrifts like to buy clothing, couture, high-end shoes. They like only the best things as well. So it has nothing to do with whether you're male or female. They like to spend money and one does not. So how do you work through this issue? And one of the things that I have recommended in these kinds of situations is that both people do need to go to financial counseling. And that involves, and it could involve, sitting down and letting them prepare a budget. It also requires from the counselor that they look at how they're spending their money. Does she have her own money and he have his own money? And then they have joint money? How does this work out? Particularly given what's happening today with so many people and income issues. This is my thinking. First, there's no such thing as your money and my money in a marriage. Because believe me, when you die, the government's going to be looking at you as a couple. Whether you die first, he dies first, or you die together for purposes of taxation. Now, with that philosophy in mind, it's easier to move together as a couple with a common goal and purpose rather than moving out the way you have done with this, it's mine, it's yours, and all of these things. So one of the things I do recommend is that you pool your money. Now, before you have a heart attack and say, I'm not pooling my money with him, just hold on. Oh, time out. If you pool your money, then you see what you have combined. And based upon your pooled money, you can set up a regular account to pay your, what I call your master bills, which is all of your master bills come out of the pooled account. And then each one of you needs to set aside money and resources that's just your money. So after you subtract out your pooled money, the bills, then you set aside every month maybe 10% of your pooled money for each of you equally. 10% for him, 10% for her, and that's your fund money. You're not accountable to each other. You should also set aside every month out of your pooled money what I call your savings. In today's economy, it used to be a rule of thumb, we'd say 6 months. But given the times we're in, I recommend that everybody have a savings account that has aggregated 1 year of salary. Yeah, can you believe that? Because it's taking people 2 and 3 years to find a job. So at least if you have cushion for 1 year, it will help. Now, by the time you do that, and any things that are left, many people tithe into their churches. You take that out of your master account, and that becomes a part of your monthly budget. Recurring expenses such as your real estate taxes, automobile insurance, homeowners insurance, your food costs, etc. But the key thing is to recognize that there is a master account where all monies are pooled. And I am totally against it's his money and I got my own money, because my position is, then why are you married? What is that about? Shared responsibility. That's what marriage is about. Sharing in child rearing, sharing in relationship. You made the decision to come together as one, but you didn't make it in the area of money because no one told you. So I'm saying to all of you that have money and you don't think your spouse knows or cares, Don't be ridiculous. Of course they know. They sleep with you every night. They know what you're doing, and you need to kind of step to the table. So let me recount. If you are married and she's a frugalist or he's a frugalist and you're a spendthrift, or maybe you got two frugalists. Both of you are very conscientious. And those are the ideal clients, by the way, because they are so ordered and their lives are so predictable that it makes it pretty easy to assist them in most of their challenges because they're disciplined in most areas of their life. Their children don't do crazy things, and if they do, they'll just do something to them, but they have lived ordered lives. But if you are a frugalist married to a spendthrift, then my recommendation is, again, consolidating both incomes into a master account and then having separate accounts for his and her, which represents your 10% takeoff from that pooled account. And you know what? If she's a frugalist, she may hoard all her money, sir, and you may have to borrow money from her to get you through. But again, it's fair, and neither person feels challenged or even abused. So I hope that answers your question with regard to what to do. Have another question. Let me pull that. Money lady, my husband died last year, and he left me insurance, a sizable amount of insurance. But I can't seem to keep the kids from asking for money, and I don't know what to do. I'm having a tough time. Wow. That's called a widow's nightmare. And you know what? It's so sad because statistics say that men die before women do. And given that reality, a large number of women over the age of 70 are widows. And in your particular case, madam, your husband left you well situated. That is a blessing because the average widow does not get much money. Off of her husband's Social Security, it runs approximately $695 a month. That's it. So the fact that your husband cared about you by leaving you insurance to care for you during the most difficult time in your life as a widow, the grief associated with losing a lifelong companion, devastating. And then to not have any money to boot, whoa. But germane to your question, he left you with a sizable insurance settlement to care for you, and the children are knocking at the door. Well, you might want to consider, and this is a real serious recommendation because I work with a lot of widows, and I'm not trying to be grimy or judgmental about children, but when children think you have money and they need money, many of them are not very ethical, and they will come to mom. Now, when your husband was alive, they would not have dared shown up at the doorstep asking for money. They may be there looking for a place to live, but they're not going to be there begging for money. But we all know that women, and mothers especially, we have a soft heart for our babies. But you know, they're not babies anymore. They're real big boogers. And coming at your doorstep wanting money is just outrageous. But if you don't have the heart to tell them no, then I strongly recommend that you consider taking your insurance money before you've squandered it on your children and wind up with nothing, and putting it into some kind of a guaranteed income account, an annuity with a guaranteed income payment, or something like a certificate, although I'm not a real proponent of certificates because they're not paying much. But at least if you put it in an account that you could not write checks off of because you're getting a monthly check to help you, then you could tell them with absolute integrity, oh, Billy, I wish I could lend you some money, but that money's invested, and I don't have the wherewithal or even the ability to get the money. I get a monthly check every month, but that's just enough for me to live on. And Billy will have to take a double take and say, wow, Mom, You didn't leave any fun money out, and you can say to him with great integrity, I'm trying to live. I don't have time right now in my life to have fun, and your dad left me this money to live on, and so I'm doing that. I hope this answers your question in a very simplistic way. I have seen, you know what? I've been in this business for 36 years. And believe me, if I ever wrote a book, it would be scandalous. It'd be a bestseller too, because it'd be the truth. But I have seen family members, predatory family members, take all their mother's money. I'm serious. Because you know what? Well, I need a car. Well, I need this. Well, and you're going to be writing out checks, and you know, before you know it, you don't have any money. And you've defeated the entire purpose of financial planning, which is your husband loved you so much that he made you the sole beneficiary of his life insurance policy or his group insurance policy from his employer. Do you not think that if he was so concerned about those children, he would not have made them as beneficiaries as well? That's something to think about. But he made it for you, and so you need to take advantage of that. And as I said, to summarize again, the recommendation I would make is that you consider an annuity that would guarantee a monthly check, and then you call it a day, and you have some income to live on. Also, madam, if you own that home, you might consider a reverse mortgage, because here we are, reverse mortgages are for senior citizens. It's a federally insured product. It's been around for over 20 years and has longevity and success. I don't know how much longer the program will continue given the economic times, but I'd encourage you to go to aarp.org and learn about this amazing product for senior citizens, where you can borrow against the equity in your home with no monthly payments for as long as you live in the home. Awesome products. I'm serious. I brought this product into the state of Ohio 20 years ago, and a lot of naysayers, but the truth of the matter is the product has been a lifesaver and a godsend for many, many senior citizens. So I endorse the product. So those are my two recommendations. Secure an annuity. I'll be glad to help you. At the end of the show, give me a call, and a reverse mortgage. And I'll be glad to refer you on to someone that can help you on that. Okay, let's move on. I've got other questions from people that have sent me questions, and I want to talk about them with you. Money Lady, I am a recent college graduate, and I have been unable to secure employment despite resumes and despite a tremendous amount of work. I have about $50,000 in student loan, and the clock is ticking. What should I do? Well, young lady, that is a toughie, because there are millions of college students who are in the same predicament as you are, where you took out tremendous sums of money to pay for college with the expectation that your college degree would be a leveraging instrument for you to secure a good job, to pay off your debt. This has been the traditional road for so many middle-class young people, because they couldn't afford, and their parents didn't have the savings to send them to college. So their financial aid officer recommended that they take out these student loans. And many of you have parents that co-signed on those student loans, and I'll talk about that later. But relative to your situation right now, the very first thing that you need to do is to go to my website. I wrote for a magazine for many years called the Cincinnati Herald. And you can type in thecincinnatiherald.com, type in my name, and then look under articles on student loans. I wrote a lengthy article a year or so ago about what students need to do. But a couple of things you can consider doing. One of the things is give service to the government. The government is willing to literally wipe out your debt if you're willing to give them service time. Teaching overseas, I'm not real up on that right now, but the government has programs that you can work your time off, particularly if you're a teacher or in specific fields. Again, visit that article and get some information. The other thing is you need to contact the lender. That's the person that made the loan or is servicing the loan. And you need to let them know if you can possibly get a hardship deferral. I did not say a denial. This is a federal loan. And the federal government has a really interesting way of finding people. Your Social Security number is completely available and accessible, and they will find you. They'll take your tax returns. They'll try to garnish wages. They'll do all of these things to get their money. You don't want to go down that road with the federal government. They are not nice people, okay, when it comes to money. They have the Internal Revenue Service, their collection agency, on their side. So, again, I'm sorry about your dilemma. Just know that you're not alone, that there are literally millions of young people that are in the same predicament, are getting jobs, but their jobs are not paying a whole lot, $22,000, $23,000 a year. That's not a lot to live on. The other thing I'm going to suggest to you is if you secure a job, and that is my prayer, that you consider staying with mom and dad. I didn't say they were going to like it. You need to talk to them about it. Rather than going out here trying to get an apartment. You can't afford an apartment. That's for better times. The other thing I caution young people is don't run out here getting a car. You don't need a car. You need a job. So don't go into the debt arena. Finally, if you're stuck with a bunch of credit card debt that you incurred in college because credit card companies actually targeted college students to get them bound up in debt, then you might want to consider a credit counseling agency to work out some kind of a payment plan with the creditor. Now, you're talking about going crazy when bill collectors start calling you. Oh, they loved you to get the card. Oh, please get the card, get the card. But collection, whoa, there's a whole 24/7 organizations that specialize in collection activity. And you as a student do not want them harassing you. There are laws to prevent this under the Fair Debt Collection Act, but the reality is they're going to harass you till they get some money. And they're going to harass you whether you like it or not, because their position is you're signed for the loan. You did this. But again, I'm trying to give you some insight and some guidance, because growing up is tough. In a good day, I mean, I'm still not grown up. I say to myself all the time, I know what the numbers say, but I sure don't feel very grown up. We all wish we had done things a little differently. We wish that we had gotten better counsel. So I'm trying to help you in this arena to get some good counsel so that you will begin to order your steps a little bit differently. And again, I congratulate you on being out of college. That's another conversation altogether about trying to get through college and the stress of classes and not having enough money and ramen noodles and all that thing. But congratulations. Welcome to the real world, and handle your business. We're going to go on with this conversation because it's a good one. Got another question here from an individual that says to me that Money Lady, I hear you talking about demographics all the time. Demographics. What does that mean for me, and how can I benefit from this trend? Wow. Demographics has to deal with America getting older and getting older faster. 10,000 people a day are coming out of the job market and are entering into what we call retirement. And the impact of so many people leaving retirement at this time in history is absolutely staggering. I simply cannot tell you how staggering that is. What I will say to you is that there are industries that are going to benefit from the demographic shift. One of the industries that's going to benefit as people get older is older people have health issues. And this is the reason that you see so many healthcare facilities literally exploding from that particular movement. The number of people needing in-home assistance has gone through the roof. That's important as well, because that is an industry that is not going to lose its impact, but it's going to grow even more. The other thing about growing older is that senior citizens love their grandchildren, and they spend money on their grandchildren. So expect industries that specialize in toys and children's things to get a spike. Not from what you would think, parents buying toys, but from grandparents buying toys and clothing and other things. That's another industry. Another industry that is going to be booming from this trend, because seniors have more disposable income than other groups. And that group is going to be spending their money on vacations to take their children. This they're going to be doing. And again, in saying this, you can expect Disney World, you can expect vacation centers and sites. You're going to see grandparents spending money on their grandchildren. I did not say their children. They love their grandchildren. Those are some of the demographic trends that you can take advantage of. What is not going to be happening in the days ahead is the housing industry. I am so sorry, but based upon just the demographic shift, the residential housing industry is not going to be what is happening unless you're looking at what I call disposable houses, where people can live very modestly and literally move on to something else. So that industry, you may be able to see real estate uptick in greenhouses. And these are houses that have been retrofitted or re-engineered to take advantage of all of the changes in technology that create energy-efficient homes, bacteria-efficient homes. Wouldn't it be nice to know that you could live in a home that was really sanitized? These are the things that are happening today. So the real estate market is not going to be a very good market. The commercial market, in terms of retail, I do not predict is going to come back. And why do I say that? Because statistics are pointing very clearly to the reality that people are shopping, and they're shopping big on internet. And I will say to you, for myself, I was looking for a pair of shoes for a speaking engagement. And I ran to a couple of stores, and then I decided I'm just going to order what I need to order on internet. And I found literally 80 different sites that had the shoe that I wanted in various descriptives. But the point is that I did not do retail. I believe, again, as an economist, that people are rational thinking people, and they make rational decisions. And if they're looking for something and they can find it fast, quick, and now with free shipping, then why would they take time, money, and with gas at $4, driving around looking for anything? People are shopping, but they're shopping at home, and it's a completely different experience. You don't get to touch and feel. You get to look out and look at it through your eyes. You get to comparison shop. You can read reviews from other customers. But the point of the matter is that because retail is not coming back, commercial space, shopping centers, shopping malls, you're going to see a lot of that space empty for a long, long time. And I cannot emphasize that a big issue, again, with people shopping in retail spaces is the security issue. The reality is, with so many people, you go to shop and you wind up getting robbed, or you wind up having an unpleasant shopping experience. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's the case in all parts of the country, but the reality is this: with so many people out of work, with so many people unable to get jobs, and you're walking around in an open space with a purse, excuse me, they're going to do what they're going to do. So all of these things portend to what Faith Popcorn, who's a futurist, and she wrote a phenomenal book, couple of books, The Popcorn Report. And she said that people were going to be cocooning. People were not going out. This was years ago, 10 years ago. And people are going to stay home because of safety issues, blah, blah, blah. So I hope that answers your question with regard to the demographics and how you can benefit. There's going to be tremendous opportunity for entrepreneurs to capitalize in this venue. It's not going to be such a good venue for people looking for employment, because the truth of the matter is you're going to find that the wage rates in those industries are not very good, $10 to $15 an hour. So if you're accustomed to making more, that is not going to happen. But what I would challenge you to do as a sidebar to this whole issue of demographic trends is to consider going back to school and retraining into a skill set that would make you marketable into that industry. And you say, well, why do I want to go to school and I'm only going to make $15 an hour? Because $15 an hour, madam or sir, is better than zero. That's why you go back to school, because it's better than a blank. And that's all I'm trying to suggest to you. Retraining is going to be the way to go in America. And frankly, we got a lot of catching up to do, because most other countries, specifically in the Pacific Rim, those people are already geared up, already have skill sets, and are anxious to make money and to enjoy what I call the American way of life. And that's what they're looking for. We have educated them greatly. We let them look at our lifestyles. We let them see all our TV shows. For years, they've been looking at TV shows. We've taught them how to break dance. We've taught them how to hip hop. We've taught them how to do everything. And they're replicating, and they want the American way, which means they've got to make the American money. And guess what? They are well on their way to doing just that. Let me go on and get another question answered for you today. Let me turn that around. Money lady, I'm interested in whether I need life insurance. Is it even relevant for me today? What are your thoughts? Wow, that's a good one. Of course you need life insurance. You're gonna die unless you are self-insured and you have $9,000 to pay for it. And many of you may. And if that be the case and you don't have estate issues, meaning you don't have anything, you just need to be buried or cremated, then if you have money in the bank, remember that 1-year savings, some of that might be for your insurance. But, and I say a big but, the purpose of life insurance is to provide cash, tax-free. Can you believe that? You do not pay income tax on life insurance proceeds. It passes to your heirs, it passes to whomever, tax-free. Now, that's significant if you're trying to leave money to your children and grandchildren. Life insurance is an efficient vehicle to use for that. Now, I did not say term life insurance. Let me be clear about terminology here. Term life insurance has a fixed end date, and then at a fixed amount, you may get 10-year, 15, 20-year term, and then that's it for a fixed amount, and usually it's cheap. The reason term insurance is cheap, folks, is because insurance companies know they'll never pay out. If you take out term insurance at 30, and you can go to television, and the quotes are cheap, 30 years old, 20-year term, excellent health. At 30, you usually are in excellent health. But let me tell you something. At 50, when the term insurance ends and you try to get more insurance, you're going to find that your premiums are going to be like, you're like, oh, what? What? Exactly. Insurance companies love term insurance. Why? Because like I said, they never have to pay out. So, and you love it because you never have to pay in. But the catch-22 is this, and that is when you really need insurance. And believe me, in your 50s, things start going a little bit wacko. And it's called aging. The things that you were running around doing at 30, you can't do at 50. Medical issues begin to show forth. Diabetes, high blood pressure, heart issues, eye issues. All kinds of things begin to manifest in your 50s. And so you find yourself stuck, which means I can't afford these premiums. And so you don't do anything. And you can't get affordable insurance because you are too old. Now, for the record, I've been licensed in insurance since the 70s. And there are some phenomenal products out here for people with a variety of health conditions. But do not ever think for 1 minute that you're going to get the wonderful cheap premiums that you got when you were younger, because insurance companies are not in the business of underwriting people that are going to be dead tomorrow. I mean, they have to make money. And in making money, they have to price their products accordingly. So you find with term insurance, you will be able to get lots of coverage real cheap, which for people with young families makes very good sense. I recommend, and this is just based upon 30-something years of doing insurance and working with all kinds of people, that if you're a young couple with children, yes, you do need insurance. And I would recommend that you do a hybrid, which is term insurance, which gives you a lot of coverage, and then perhaps a whole life contract or a universal life contract, which will build cash value so that as you grow older and your children are now gone, so you don't have the need, that at least you will have insurance that will seem incredibly cheap at that age, because truthfully, you won't be able to get insurance. Okay, so that is my recommendation. Young people always need insurance because they usually have children and they want to pay for college. They want to make sure that if either partner dies, that there is income coming in. So that's extremely important. And I can't emphasize how important it is. For older people, if you were smart and you got insurance when you were younger and you had $100,000 or even some of you $500,000 and you've accumulated cash value, that might be the time to look at maybe using that some of that cash value to pay for long-term care, also known as extended care, or to set up situations where the money can be gifted appropriately to your children and grandchildren. These are just some of the things I'm going to encourage you to think about. And for the record, I still feel, despite what the economy looks like, that insurance is the cheapest way to get a phenomenal return on your money, because the insurance company is on the hook for the full amount. Can you imagine that? If you have a $100,000 policy, and you're paying a little bit every month, and you die tomorrow, they have to pay the full face amount. So literally, for the dollars you're paying, you're going to get tremendous coverage and tremendous benefits. Am I an advocate of insurance? Absolutely. You must have and you should have insurance because you're going to die. That's a fact. I don't know anybody that's 200 years old. And if they are, please let me know. I'd love to talk to them and find out how they live so long. But the average person needs insurance to cover the risk of death. There's another kind of insurance as well, and that is disability insurance, because the #1 cause of people having financial ruin is something happens where they're disabled and they can't work. And again, I tell people that's an insurance policy you want to get when you're in good health, because it's disability insurance. But you will find that the costs are very affordable if you are young, and it's a very good, sensible way to protect yourself and your family, okay, for very few dollars, cheap dollars, to protect them from the possibility of you becoming disabled. At least they will have income coming in so that the things that go along with not having income because of disability don't occur for them. I'll be talking about long-term care insurance in my next segment, so you want to just stay tuned, and I'm going to be interviewing a phenomenal individual who has been involved in that industry for well over 2 decades, longer than that, actually 3 decades. And Sharp knows his stuff. And we're going to be talking about that because that's the big elephant in the room, long-term care insurance. Because seniors, there is a statistical probability that you are going to need long-term insurance. It's kind of like, well, I didn't die, and then I say, yeah, but you lived. And now who's going to pay for this? And no, Medicare does not pay for long-term care insurance. That's a whole different animal. But it is the elephant in the room, and it begs for an appropriate response as you talk about insurance. So young man, it doesn't sound like you're old enough for long-term care, but I do hope that you will heed the advice that I said. If you're a single young man, you have no dependents, you have no wife, then you may just want to carry insurance because, again, health issues are real. If you can get the insurance cheap, carry it. One other point, for many of you that are working for companies, you can take advantage of group insurance. That's where the company, through either a cafeteria plan or as a part of their benefit package, they pay for your group coverage. Now, please be aware on group insurance, unlike regular insurance, group insurance has some quirky aspects to it, okay? And you need to make sure, particularly since so many people, companies are not even offering group insurance any longer. A lot of senior citizens, as they are moving to retirement, are discovering that they don't have insurance and they can't get insurance at their age and given their health conditions. I'm going to give a plug for AARP here, and that is that at your age and with your medical issues, they do offer group insurance products. And I didn't say they were cheap, but you can get, I believe, as much as $50,000 through a group plan that they endorse, that's underwritten, that's strictly for seniors. Again, this is a venue that you can take advantage of and should. I've had to tell many seniors that have come in for advice that there's not a thing I can do in the area of insurance because you had a term product that is not affordable. But you can consider going under a group plan, paying a little bit more to have your insurance. And of course, on that very subject, and I say this to seniors over and over and over again, these are conversations that you need to involve your children in. The decisions that you're making right now are critical because, again, statistically, you may say I'm going to live forever, but no, you're not. So you do want to plan practically and sensibly, and you want your children involved. It's also a good time to make sure you have your will in place, your durable power of attorney in place, and your other instruments that are necessary for you as you grow older. And your children do need to know about it. I personally feel that surprises are not a part of the formula. Surprises and children not knowing what you've got, where it is. You don't have to tell all of them, but one of your children should be trustworthy enough for you to be comfortable sharing with them your financial story and making sure they understand where critical papers are and what you need to do on that issue, including your insurance. Because believe it or not, I have seen policies that have lapsed, that have expired, companies have gone out of business, and they've still got all these policies, and they roll them out, and you're like, okay, what do you want me to do with this? Because they don't even know what they have. So for those of you that don't have insurance, I've given you information. For those of you that do have insurance, particularly seniors, there are some really, really major product specifications today that will allow you to take money out of your life insurance contract to purchase long-term care insurance. Because the truth of the matter is, if you go under Medicaid, and hear me well, because there's so much misinformation about Medicaid, which is a government program for indigents. Yes, Medicaid will pay for long-term care confinement, but boy, oh boy, you're going to wind up with nothing. So again, as I share with people, if you have life insurance that has cash value, now is the time for you to make the move to purchase long-term care coverage for you and or your spouse so that you can at least have that little bit of peace of mind. Because nothing is as tragic and as sorrowful, and I speak as a practitioner. I'm not up here talking a bunch of foolishness. I'm telling you, nothing is more tragic than a person to have accumulated $1 or $2 million in assets and then to have Alzheimer. Because you know what? You can suffer with Alzheimer for 15 plus years in confinement, or multiple sclerosis, or Parkinson's, or all these diseases that are long-term diseases. And nursing homes run about $9,000 a month. That's not including all the other things. How long do you think it's going to be before you run out of money? Seriously, you literally are transferring your money to the nursing home and to pay for your care, and then ultimately you're going to be broke anyway, and your children and your grandchildren are going to get zero. Hear me, zero. Not funny. Why? Because, well, it'll never happen to me. The purpose of insurance is to insure you against the possibility that it could happen to you, and the statistical probability that it will happen to you. So given that scenario, again, back to laws have changed, life insurance, annuities can be leveraged to pay for long-term care. And as I said, I'm going to be talking about that whole industry in my upcoming segment, because this is the big elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about. They just don't, okay? But I'll tell you what, when you go into a facility or when you need help, you're going to need money. And you're going to need lots of money, because long-term care is expensive. And most people have not made the necessary steps to ensure that their family is not burdened. And you know, on that subject of family and being burdened, one of the things that I've shared over the years is it's difficult to find the right solution when you start off on the wrong premise. It really is. So people say, I want to accumulate a lot of money for retirement. I want to be able to have a successful business or a successful career. And they're doing all these moves, but they're not considering the underlying premise for a lot of these the thinking that they have. And so I say to you that if you have a successful business, wonderful. But you better make sure while you're doing your successful business that you have a business successorship plan, because it makes no sense to have a business and you can't even sell your business, or even worse, you die and the business has not been properly structured to make sure that your heirs can in fact take control, sell, whatever. This is a major. If you run into health issues, it becomes unbearable. Again, the premise was honorable. I want to be wealthy. I want to have a business. But without a proper understanding of the solutions for these difficult times, you will come to very, very bad decisions. You will do it because you don't have all the information to make those correct decisions. So this is why I share with people over the years, yes, I am the money lady. Yes, I don't have to make apologies for it. No, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just simply saying I've been out here a long time and I know a little bit, and I've seen enough pain and suffering where people laid out their steps one way and something else happened. And the thing that happens to throw everything up, truthfully, is not even losing the job. What throws things totally out of kilter is that your health begins to blow up. You get a diagnosis, cancer, something, and everything blows up, and you have not made adequate provisions for your family and when these things happen. I don't want that to happen. I'd like for you to carefully consider the things I've said today. We've talked about a lot of things. We've had questions and answers from email, and you're encouraged to email me. Please email me. I'll be happy to give you a response. It's not the same as a consultation, but I will be happy to give you an honest and sincere and accurate response based upon the information that you've given me. Because again, my commitment remains. I want to see you get through this thing. Do not believe the people that are out here. Please don't believe the media hype. This is a serious thing we're going through in our country. Doesn't matter who's the president. We've lost millions and millions of jobs to countries that don't care anything about us. That's the truth, okay? And so here we are. Where do we go from here? So for those of you that are still working, I just thank you that you still are working. Be good to your boss, because you really want to keep your job. And for those of you that are retired, I need you to be more responsible in planning ahead. I do not think it is honorable to expect your children to take care of you when you are old and infirm. I don't care what the old model was, which is we're going to always take care of Gramps or take care of Grandma. Today, it's different. Children are trying to survive themselves. They're dealing with their own children and their own financial troubles. And then to add this layer on that you expect them to take care of you and you do not, you have made no provisions financially. You want them to stop working to take care of you, which incidentally, the majority of seniors that are at home are being taken care of by their daughters, not their sons, because you know males aren't going to do that. But the women are having to give up jobs and juggling jobs, children, family, to take care of their parents. And I tell parents, why do you feel this is right? Why would you not consider now taking the necessary steps to ensure that you have a story that's a good story as you age? And that is by taking the necessary steps in the area of insurance, so that your children don't have to run around when you die trying to find money from the church, trying to find money from family, trying to advance credit cards to pay for your demise, when that's something that you had 60 years to attend to. That is it's offensive. It is to me, and probably to many of you that are viewing. So order your steps. That's my charge for you today. As we wrap up on today's segment of The Power of Money, order your steps. Put the things in place that need to be put into place. Do the things that are necessary to be done financially so that you will be able to get through the day. And again, through the question and answers, if you don't have a budget, get one. Go to daveramsey.org on website. Awesome budget. You can download it and fill it in. You think you're blowing money? You probably are. I recommend that everybody use a little index card and document every penny they spend in the course of a week. You're going to be shocked at what you spend your money on. You're going to be shocked, because a lot of it is just wasteful. And those days are over. So I guess I'm one of those people you call a frugalist, because I do enjoy what money can do, but I'm not willing to do that at the expense of my own well-being. That's called delayed gratification, viewers. I'm willing to delay gratification until I have the financial means to really enjoy it. I'm not willing to promote credit card use. I'm not willing to promote the lifestyle of the rich and greedy if you're not. I just think that's just ridiculous. And yet, I see it all around me. And I see the consequences as a person gets older and older, even unto death. Even unto death, where they don't have a will, their affairs are not in order, and they're still struggling. I hope this show has been a benefit to you today, getting your house in order, questions and answers, the issue of insurance, and as always, you can certainly communicate with me on the prompt as I sign off today. And just remember that my commitment is to assist you in getting through these difficult times with maturity and also with wisdom. And I thank you so very, very much, as I thank you every week, for the privilege and the opportunity to talk to you about my favorite subject, money. And incidentally, money's not a bad word, because money can take you to places that you really need to go. So having said that today, I wish all of you a great day, a blessed day, and I look forward to seeing you on my next segment of The Power of Money. I'm Michelle Graves, the Money Lady, since 1976, and you be blessed. Goodbye.